For a Timmy.
Hello and welcome to coverage of Grand Prix Dallas-Fort Worth. We're in round number 13. Marshall Sutcliffe in the booth with Jacob Van Lunen. Mehendra Raval versus Marlon Gutierezz. Mehendra is playing a list that looks really, really interesting. He's playing Reanimator, and his opponent is on also an interesting list that we haven't seen much of, white-black control. We're not talking about a mono-black deck here. He does not have Gray Merchant, and he also does not have Night Veil Spectre. So he's way in a different direction and full-on control deck in white-black. It does give him access to Mutavault, and he plays a Thoughtseize here. So we get a chance to see some of the sweet stuff the Mehendra's brought to the table, including Obsidot's Aid. That's a card. There's a Lotleth Troll, which he would have loved to have on turn 2 to potentially get big stuff out of his hand, but he doesn't actually have any right now. So instead, he's stuck with an Rescue from the Underworld, a Grizzly Salvage, and a Sylvan Caryatid. Marlon's writing them all down. He's got to be like, uh-oh, like what are we dealing with here? He's going to read Rescue from the Underworld to kick things off.
Oh, man, he's reading Rescue from the Underworld. I guess it is kind of a complicated card. It comes back at the beginning of the next turn. So
yes.
That could be relevant.
The next upkeep, the two creatures come back. Of your next upkeep.
Your next
upkeep.
Right,
it's you. So, like, you got to wait a while sometimes. So what is he going to take here? Thoughtseize interesting.
Hey, probably.
Look at him. Mehendra's helping him by pointing all
this
stuff. Yeah, it is. Because you certainly don't want to let him keep Grizzly Salvage or Sylvan Caryatid, because then he can start getting more mana. And he's going to stick with the Lotleth Troll here, keep the pressure off. Remember, Marlon is a control deck, and that is not a land for Mehendra Raval, so he is going to play. Now, that's interesting. He's going to play potentially into a Devour Flesh here with his Sylvan Caryatid. Does Marlon have it? No, he doesn't. So it is going to be. And remember, Mehendra doesn't know what he's up against either. He could be assuming he's up against Mono Black right now.
Yeah, I would probably assume I was against Mono Black at this point.
Yeah. And Mehendra finds an Overgrown Tomb, which he's just going to play tapped and ship the turn back. Can't really do anything yet.
Well, he has Grizzly Salvage for his opponent's end step, and if he's able to find a land for that and put something like an Ashen Rider into his graveyard, then he can actually Ashen Rider next turn.
Sick.
Yeah. Which is what I'm really hoping happens.
Yeah. Marlon Gutierrezz, eschewing blue. He's playing an Esper-like deck, but without blue, so it's changed it considerably. All right, here's Grizzly Salvage. Caryatid. Land. So he hit the land. There's a Drown in Filth and no Fatty here, but he is going to find a land if he wants it. There's also the Caryatid he can take.
He's probably going to take that Temple.
Caryatid seems quite nice.
Hasn't seen one Fatty yet, despite all the work.
But also, he's got to feel pretty good because he's just under no pressure at the moment.
Yeah. Which, I mean, is pretty nice when you're this type of deck.
Man, Caryatid is actually just really sweet in this deck. It acts as fodder for Rescue from the Underworld. It also protects your Fatty from a Devour Flesh or a similar sacrifice effect. Pretty sweet.
It is really sweet.
I mean, and also blocks and makes mana, which is what it's already good enough for, but he's getting extra value here.
Ooh, Blood Baron of Viscopa.
Okay, Blood Baron will change things dramatically here for Marlon, and as it represents a very quick clock.
Yes, it does. Rescue from the Underworld, though, pretty good against that Blood Baron. He can block with the Sylvan Caryatid, and then Rescue from the Underworld targeting another Sylvan Caryatid, and he can, he's not really under that much pressure. So he can just play this land tapped, and then
He's going to take a quick look through his graveyard, though. He's only got the only two creatures are in there are a Lotleth Troll and a Sylvan Caryatid. He's going to play this land tap because he's got the 5 mana. Now, he can also just fire off Obsidian's Aid and get back his Lotleth Troll or something along those lines, though you got to figure if he was going to do that, he might want that land untapped, right?
Definitely.
All right, so he's just going to pass the turn here. And that indicates that he's probably going to take the line that you suggested where he's going to block, sack, and get back the Lotleth Troll or the or another Caryatid, depending on what he wants.
I think he goes with double Caryatid. I mean, it just means that if he untaps afterward, then like top decks like Ashen Rider become absolutely ridiculous. You know, you can actually cast it. Of course, Blood Baron matches up pretty well against Ashen Rider.
Yes, blanking both colors is nice. Yeah, this Blood Baron is going to be an issue for Mehendra for the rest of the game potentially. So he's got some work to do for sure.
And like I said, I do like the block rescue play. I think it's quite good.
Looks like he wants Lotleth Troll though. All right, so here it is. Play rescue, sacrificing Caryatid, targeting Lotleth Troll. They both go to the yard. That thing gets exiled. And Mehendra takes no damage this turn, and Marlon gains no life this turn. Because Blood Baron on the ground is a lot easier to deal with. All right, so both of these come back, and he draws another land for the turn. Metagame doesn't have very many scavenging oozes in it right now, so Mehendra says, well, sure, we'll run Reanimator.
Yeah, I mean, that was the major thing stopping us from testing this deck previous to the Pro Tours. We thought there were going to be a ton of scavenging uses everywhere. And
there were quite a few at the Pro Tour, but
yeah,
they have subsided. And if you caught our metagame breakdown, nary a room for a scavenging ooze out of our top 3 archetypes, which is mono blue, mono black, and blue-white based control. That made up the overwhelming majority of the metagame here, and yeah, no green in those decks. So, all right, so Mehendra attacked.
Yep.
And he's going to play a Drown in Filth. Now that's going to get a little awkward because he needs a target for it here.
That's a sorcery. Yeah.
Yeah, he has to target his own Sylvan Caryatid here. All right, here we go. And it's
not
Jared.
bad.
That's a thing.
That is the thing.
Jared can get absolutely huge.
Yes, it can. And I mean,
You like
might
saying
happen.
Gerard or Jared?
Jared.
It's Jared. All right.
Gerard?
Yeah. I don't know exactly how you're supposed to say it, but all right, Marlon's going to activate his Underworld connections. Mehendra only had 4 mana, so and another quick look. This is something we're going to have to get used to if Mehendra's going to be in the feature match area, because all of a sudden the graveyard's incredibly important.
And pretty confusing, mind you.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Marlon is now aware of what's going on. He knows that his opponent's trying to reanimate something, but he doesn't necessarily know what that something is. If he knew that it was primarily Ashen Rider, he'd probably feel a lot better. All right, so Duress took away an Obsidian's Aid, and Mehendra's going to move to blocks here.
So he's
Did
jumping
we
up
ever
17.
figure out why that Lotleth Troll was tapped? Did it attack?
It did attack.
Didn't it have summoning sickness, though? Like, the creatures
yeah.
come back on your upkeep, so you don't get
you're
to
right.
attack with them. I don't... Still trying to figure out how that thing attacked, but... It looks like both players missed it if that
if you had
was
gone
the
back
case.
and Caryatid instead of Lotleth Troll, then you could just cast the Ashen Rider and not need to use that Obsidian's Aid.
Oh, okay.
So,
Well, but now he's also going to have a blocker with regeneration up, and he's also going to be able to... Actually, no, he can't
but
block at all. Yeah, you're right. All right.
and the creature's black, so it
That's
can't
what I'm
block
saying.
later on with
he can't block
the Blood
at all.
Baron. Yeah.
Right. All right. So here's Ashen Rider. Trigger on the stack. Take out your Swamp, which is going to be a nice 2-for-1 here.
The Swamp is exiled. Yeah.
Yep, Swamp gets exiled. But unfortunately for Mehendra, this Blood Baron is just a huge issue.
Yeah.
Like, he's not going to be able to race it as the board sits.
He needs a Sylvan Primordial. And even then, I mean, if his opponent just has spot removal spell that kills the Sylvan Primordial,
then Mehendra's going to need another way to get it back.
Mm-hmm. So at this point, it's not looking very good for Mehendra at this point. This is definitely not the type of deck that he wants to run into. Seeing the power of Blood Baron of Viscopa now. Full effect. Yeah, so Loth Troll, I guess, comes in again because why not? I guess it can be a regenerating blocker against pack rats. He might need to leave it back just to block to survive.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because Mehendra has managed to employ his game plan here. He's got an Ashen Rider in play and a Lotleth Troll active, yet it's just not enough.
The Ashen Rider didn't come down until about turn 10, and I think the plan is like turn 4.
Still, it should, ideally your target should get you out of any mess that you were in, and it's not going to do that for this particular mess.
Yeah, the protection from black and white is something that most people don't really expect in game ones, especially.
Yeah.
Marlon has 4 copies of Blood Baron in his main deck.
It's his main win condition.
Yeah.
That and Pack Rat. All right.
So he's going to sacrifice that land. He's going to get back Jared.
That goes back to his hand. And he's also going to play it. So he floated the mana, sacked the appropriate lands, and now has played Jared. Now, how big is Jared is the question.
I believe Jared right now is a 4/4. He gets +1/+1 for each creature in your graveyard, not in all graveyards.
Okay. But again, the problem is that he's got those 2 pesky black mana symbols on him, and even if he was a 20/20, he can never block that Blood Baron.
It's true.
So this whole entire game now revolves around this Blood Baron because it's the only thing that Mehendra can't really deal with. Pack Rats are going to take over as well pretty quickly.
And this Jared is actually quite good with the Ashen Rider, too. You can get some interesting loop things to happen.
Because you can sack it?
Yeah, so here, I mean, if he's not just dead to pack rats. Oh.
Well, he just went down to 8. So he can.
Whoa, but then. Whoa. I think he just killed himself because I think you just block with your Lotless Troll and let it die. Now your opponent can just kill you with pack rats by just making a whole bunch and attacking you.
He can only make 1 extra one right now, but then the next turn he could make 2.
And plus, he can activate both Mutavaults.
Right. Okay, so this could get ugly. It looks like Mehendra wanted to have access to not only be able to activate his Jared, but also regenerate his Lotleth Troll, and it might have been greedy here.
Yeah, and I don't know how much the Lotleth Troll really matters after all is said and done, because I think what he really wants to do here is try to get a big play next turn where you're sacrificing your Sylvan Caryatid to your Jared to prevent your opponent from getting a life with Blood Baron, and the next turn you swing with your team and you sacrifice hopefully 2 guys to your Jared, and then your Lotleth Troll and Ashen Rider in conjunction with each other should deal enough damage to kill your opponent. Just going to go ahead and block there, and that needs to block the Blood Baron. Yep, so okay.
All right, so he has enough mana to do all of the things he wants to do this turn. The question is it enough?
Yeah, I'm also surprised that his opponent didn't activate both those Mutavaults and then make another Pack Rat token during combat and deal his opponent lethal. His opponent has no cards in hand, lethal damage. That seems like it would have been the right play. Yeah, because with Mehendra at 8, activating both Mutavaults and attacking. So Last Breath. getting discarded. He is making that pack rat.
Activate Mutavault.
It would have been good if the Mutavaults were attacking here, but so this pack rat, reasonably large, not huge.
All right, so here's a regeneration on Sylvan or on Lotleth Troll.
Mm-hmm.
And looks like Marlon says, yeah, sure. And now he's going to sack.
Yeah, and he doesn't drain any life because it's equal to the sacrificed creature's power, but it is going to make the Jared slightly larger, which is definitely relevant.
Unfortunately, though, Marlon has a pack rat back to block. But the pack rat's a 4/4.
Yeah, well, it's a 3/3 now. It'll be a 4/4 when he activates the Mutavault.
Well, he had already, I'm saying on his turn it was. He activated that Mutavault in the middle.
All right, yeah, so Mehendra,
Yeah.
I think Mehendra can win here, right? He attacks with everything.
Well, so the problem is Marlon can also make another pack rat here.
And I guess Marlon could also just like have a relevant spell in hand, like
Which he does. He has a Devour Flesh, which he can use on himself to kill one of his pack rats or something and stay alive if the damage race gets that close. All right, so send in the team, though. Mehendra, he took this specific line for this reason, so here he goes. And activate a Mutavault. And he's going to find a block with Mutavault here on Lotleth Troll, and he's going to throw one of his pack rat tokens under the bus here for Gerard.
Okay, so what happens here? So I think Mehendra can discard a card to that Lotleth Troll.
If it's a creature?
I think he has another Lotleth Troll in hand.
Okay, he does.
So yeah, that's what he's going to do. He's going to come over the top for 2 there. That'll put Marlon down to 11. And then, then the extra 5 puts Marlon down to 6. And then he can sacrifice an Ashen Rider, and he can only put Marlon down to 1 here.
Oof.
So 1 point off.
Brutal.
But it's pretty crazy because if he had gotten back that Sylvan Caryatid earlier on in the game, then he would have been able to enact a few more tricks. He would have also had an extra Obsidat's aid to go with the Ashen Rider. He could have been sacrificing it more aggressively, which would have reduced pressure on him while also dealing damage to his opponent, and the game could have gone a lot differently. So this was a really interesting game.
Okay. All right, still in combat. It looks like we've passed priority back and forth like a ping pong ball here. So we see hands waving around. You take it. I don't want it.
I do not want
And now they're apparently figuring out how much actual damage is going to get through. Remember, Lotleth Troll has Trample as well. And here comes Devour Flesh from Marlon. And I think he's going to target himself, and he's going to sacrifice that pack rat token that's blocking Gerard here.
Yeah, he's going to gain a lot, and that's it.
And that ought to do it. So Marlon Gutierrez is going to take game 1 from Mehendra Raval.
Yeah, Mehendra's deck actually almost found its way out of that situation.
Yeah.
He was very close.
This is interesting. He's got a little bit of a different take. You know, in Albuquerque, we had Conley Woods playing a deck that was, well, it wasn't a Reanimator deck per se, but like it absolutely abused cards like Gerard and even Lotleth Troll and those type of things to great effect. He was just trying to fill up his graveyard. He called it dredge. You know, basically just.
I mean, that's basically what it is.
Right, just like
taking cards
the
on the
more
top of your
cards
deck and
in
you're
my
putting them
yard,
in your graveyard.
yeah, the better off I am is kind of the mentality. This one's a little different. It's a little more streamlined. Using Obsidat's Aid, a card that I remember when it first came out, people were like, ooh, like that could do some things, but it hasn't yet. It just hasn't found a home, and Mehendra looks like he's trying to make it, a real thing.
I mean, I would love to see a deck with Obsidat's Aid do well in a tournament. I want people to have to shift into Scavenging Ooze, and it's.
I just want to play Scavenging Ooze. That card's so sweet.
I do love that card.
So let's take a look at Mehendra's potential sideboard plan here. I see he's moving around a bunch of cards. He's got Golgari Charms, which those can take out some Underworld connections. He's got more Sylvan Primordials, which can block.
Yeah, they can block
Blood Baron.
Blood Baron of Escopa, which is pretty relevant.
Sin Collectors, he could bring those in if he wants. I mean, they do hit relevant spells in this matchup. You know, a lot of removal spells and such from Marlon.
Blood Baron of Escopa seems like a good one to bring in.
There you go.
It has protection from Marlon's deck.
Right. Yes, totally.
Yeah.
His entire deck. Yeah, the only thing he can do is like throw a Mutavault under it or something. But
yeah, he can Devour Flesh it, but
yeah.
I mean, Mehendra has a lot of smaller guys that can get in the way for the Devour Flesh. And the other thing is that Mehendra also has things like that reanimate the Blood Baron. So even if it does die, he can just put it right back into play.
That's right. Yeah, that seems like a really, really tall order for Marlon to try to fight through.
Tristani's another pretty good one.
Yeah,
I like
would you bring
Tristani in
that?
decks like this.
That looks like it's an
Not really for
aggro
this
sideboard.
matchup, yeah.
And he's definitely playing against a control player here, so probably won't need that. Let's take a look at.
Interesting to bring up because
Yeah.
it's so good in his deck in the matchups where he wants it.
Here's Marlon's sideboard: triple Dark Betrayal.
I wonder if he brings those in.
Like, do you just end up like if he brings back an Ashen Rider and you Dark Betrayal it? Are you just actually kind of sad?
Yeah, it's
sitting in his graveyard, right? Like Mehendra's like, sure, it's in my yard where it will come back at some point, and I got to exile a couple of your things, like you and take a card out of your hand. Like you just can't feel that great about that.
Yeah, I mean it's really hard for Marlon to sideboard. To be honest, I'm not sure what he brings in. Lifeband Zombie's definitely coming in.
Yes, that's a huge one here. Wow.
Yeah, I guess Sin Collector probably it does what he wants to do here.
Yes, because he needs to attack the reanimation spells, right? He needs to get Duresses in there.
I think what he wants to do most is attack Mehendra.
Which is, well, so as much as he has, so he wrote down Black-White Control for his deck list, and it is. That being said, Packrat, Desecration Demon, Blood Baron of Viscopa. Now, those are his threats. He has one Sin Collector also, but those are the only things that he can use to actually kill his opponent. But with the right draw, those are incredible.
Yeah.
Turn 2 Pack Rat, make a rat, and then if that goes answered, then you can follow up with Desecration Demon. If not, it's just like, here's more rats. You're dead. So, there's definitely, like, even though Mehendra has a pretty strong sideboard plan here, it definitely feels like Marlon can match it. So this is going to be an interesting one. Certainly.
I think Marlon's deck is just very favored in the matchup.
Okay.
That's not to say that Mehendra's deck can do absolutely degenerate things, though. So I mean, if Mehendra gets like a top 20% draw, he just beats everything. Except maybe mono green devotion.
Okay.
Yeah, the deck that absolutely goes over the top of everything and all things. But it's definitely an interesting matchup here. I'm gonna be pretty excited to see what happens. I would love it so much if we saw a turn 4 Ashen Rider.
That would be quite exciting for sure. And let's find out shortly here if we're going to get that kind of action. Was that a Selesnya charm?
That is. It's also a mulligan from the looks of it. Oh, is that double forest? I think it may be double forest, but it looks like Carrie added 1 forest. So, yeah, he's going
to mulligan. What's his Selesnya charm for? It doesn't hit Blood Baron.
It does not hit Blood Baron.
Do you think he's just anticipating seeing Desecration Demon? I mean, we didn't see one in Game 1, but...
Maybe. I mean, he would be correct to assume that, but he didn't see one.
Would you even bring it in? Let's say that
No,
Marlon says, I have 4 Desecration Demon, I need you to know that, before sideboarding. Are you like, sweet, now with that information, I'm slamming these Selesnya charms? Or are you like, yeah, don't really care?
I don't know. Desecration Demon is not what you're worried about.
Right.
Desecration Demon is one of the cards that your deck is very well positioned against.
Right, so what are those charms for?
The Selesnya Charm is a really good card, man.
Nice.
I mean, okay, so here's the actual reasoning, right? All right. Marlon's
You
deck.
can say you don't know. I don't know.
No, I do know.
Okay, you do know.
Marlon is playing black-white.
Yeah.
Mehendra almost certainly is assuming that his opponent has Obsidat.
Okay.
Probably a lot of them.
Okay.
3 or 4 of them. Obsidat is really good.
Insane.
Selesnya Charm is one of the only ways to effectively deal with Obsidat.
Okay. So he's hedging and hoping that his opponent has it. Wow, that hand got a lot better in the last two. He found 2 lands at the end. All right, so land go. Marlon Gutierrez, do you have a hand disruption spell? You do not. You've got Temple of Silence, though, and he's going to leave a swamp on top. So back to Mehendra.
Angel's Serenity, one of my favorite fatties of all time.
It's a nice one, although that's got to be sad for Mehendra. He has none of his turn 2 plays to try to get stuff. You know, no Drown in Filth, which really he wouldn't be able to cast here anyway, but no Grizzly Salvage.
I'm a little bit surprised there that he didn't just go for the 2/2 off Selesnya Charm. I guess
he's going to now.
No
he does have Drown in Filth. He's got to be just praying that his opponent plays something here. Not going to work out, though. Is this going to be a Sin Collector? No, it's not. It's going to be the card draw engine. The machine is online, but here's the Selesnya Charm token that you just mentioned.
And he could have played that last turn, but then it ends up not making too much of a difference. It's a difference of...
well, 2 life on his side and
two life on the other
side too.
Yeah, but if you did draw the 3rd land, then it would have made a larger difference. I think he just drew a Grizzly Salvage, which is a pretty nice draw step.
Yeah, he would just have to fire that off right now, right?
Definitely. He wants to find that land. That way he can play it.
Yep. All right, there it is. Grizzly Salvage. 1, 2. So there's 2 fatties, 3 fatties. Another creature. No land. He completely bricks here on lands. Does find a Lotleth Troll.
He took the Lotleth Troll or the Grizzly Salvage?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, because that's the only card he can. I mean, the other ones are all 8-drops.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
So.
Oh yeah, so Grizzly Salvage.
Creature land.
Yeah, it's not. He's not just impulsing for 5.
Yeah,
that'd be a little bit absurd. Obviously, I'm sorry.
I just
it's been a long weekend. I apologize.
I just like how hopeful you are. You're just like, we get cards like that, right? All right, here's a Lifebane Zombie, and Lifebane Zombie can hit an Angel of Serenity or an Ashen Rider here.
Or a Lotleth Troll.
Yeah, or a Lotleth Troll indeed.
I think he's gonna take that Lotleth Troll.
Yeah. Yeah, because a Lotleth Troll can get out of hand pretty quickly. If Mehendra were to draw a green source, it could be like a 5/5 Trampler with regeneration.
Yeah.
Gets out of hand quickly. 4/4, and then like any creature, yeah.
Well, he already can cast it. He's Temple Garden Godless Shrine.
Well, yeah, I meant with regeneration up.
Oh, yeah.
Just in case it's going to die. Yeah, you're right. It was indeed Lotleth Troll that he took. So let's see what Mehendra can come up with. He needs lands. So brutal. Though he does get to fire off this Drown in Filth now.
Yeah.
So here's Drown in Filth.
Oh, man. 2 lands off the top of his deck.
He did 4 cards there, right?
Yep.
Okay. And that does take down Lifebane Zombie, so that's nice. But unfortunately, revving the motor here, Marlon Gutierrez going to draw a card and says, hey, can I look at your graveyard? And as you can see, even with this really kind of awful draw, Mehendra has been able to fill up his yard quite nicely. But he's going to need to find mana and find it quickly. If he does...
Yeah, if he does, stuff can get pretty serious.
It can get pretty bad. I mean, he's got the tools in his graveyard and in his hand to make it happen, but he's just falling behind. And there it is, Blood Baron of Vizkopa, and Mehendra just has to say, sure, man, whatever makes you feel good about yourself. He draws a land, but he's going to need 2 more before he can start really doing anything here. So far behind. Soldier Token can't attack, can't block. There's a duress for Marlon, so he can keep one of the Obsidat's aids, but not going to do a ton. Gets in for 4 with a Blood Baron of Vizkopa, and Marlon Gutierrez firmly in the driver's seat here against Mehendra Raval. It's tough to imagine a scenario where Mehendra can come back from this. Remember, even just given that he could draw a couple of lands, Marlon has like 5 cards in his hand plus Underworld connections online.
Yeah, he's drawing 2 cards a turn.
Yeah, it's just going to get out of hand quickly here.
He's winning on the board. He has more cards in his hand, and he has twice as many lands.
And he's also got 10 power. So looks like Marlon Gutierrez with his black-white control list is going to be able to defeat a rogue deck here from Mehendra Raval.
A really rogue deck.
Yeah. Mehendra is sitting at 10 and 2.
Pretty exciting that he made it to 10 and 2 with this.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, I wish we could have seen more because, he just hasn't drawn any lands here. Breaking on that Grizzly Salvage was really nasty.
Yeah, when you go 5 cards deep and don't find a 3rd land, that's pretty rough.
Yes. All right, Marlon activates his not summoning Sigmuta Vault and his other not summoning sick Mutavault. And he's going to Devour Flesh to just get that thing out of the way. This is all before combat, so the Desecration Demon trigger has not gone on the stack. Take 6, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, puts you to 2. And while not actually lethal, that's going to be a game here. So
yeah, that's just about it.
So Marlon Gutierrez is going to improve to 11-2 in the tournament here. With his brew, we got to remember that he's playing a list as well that he made. Yeah, and pretty insane. I mean, with all these powerful cards, and that's going to do it there. You see the handshake from Mehendra. But, yeah, I mean, he's like Night Veil Spectre. No, don't need that one.
Yeah, Marlon Gutierrez with a pretty interesting deck. It's black-white deck. You're right. He doesn't need Night Veil Spectre. He's got
Gray
some other
Merchant,
stuff.
not good enough.